How's it hanging, everybody? Welcome back to Tag Team, the Pokemon Trading Card Game's premier podcasting trio. My name is Riley Hulbert, joined, as always, by my good friends, Mr. JW Kriewall and Mr. Andrew Mahone. Folks, how are we doing today?
Hey, doing all right, Riley. How are you?
I'm good. I gotta say, JW, I'm a little disappointed. Not as heavy of a bit commitment for our visual viewers today. Make sure if you haven't, folks, we are on YouTube as well if you want a visual companion to the podcast. But I'm good. We're still deep in wedding planning stuff. It's my job away from my job. But it's good. It's all fun stuff to be going through. We had a catering tasting this past weekend, which was good. It was kind of like an open house buffet format.
Okay.
Which is really not the way to make your food shine.
With many different people? Like everyone was all trying. Interesting.
Yeah.
I have not heard of that format.
I don't know. It was my first time doing this stuff, but like so it was good. The food was good, but I feel like your food's never going to shine if it's in like a buffet, like open house format. So that was kind of interesting. And I also reached out to some of the other vendor type things like DJ and hotel blocking earlier today to see if I can make some headway there. That's been good. We also went to a little get together this past weekend for Jill's former boss is moving away, so we went to their goodbye get together. That was nice, and yeah, overall chill stuff going on.
Great, man. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I had a big tournament this past weekend. We had 45 players show up for our Retro Series event at Full Grip, Base Neo, which I find that format a lot of fun. I've got like a dozen Base Neo decks built myself, and I've had them built for a long time. So like they have made their rounds on my channel since the very beginning. We even hosted like a Base Neo tournament at Full Grip pre-pandemic. Like it was 10 players and I like vlogged it. I mean, you could find that ancient history like on the YouTube channel if you look for it. It was really fun to see how much things have grown since then. Because I did record some of the games and like captured that tournament pre-pandemic with 10 people at it. And now, Chris Fulop and I, who finished first and second at that pre-pandemic Base Neo tournament, actually commentated this one. So it was fun to like have played him in this format before, and then to get to experience the format with him in like a third-person perspective was really a treat, actually, because he, for those of you who don't know, Chris Fulop is a longtime competitor in the Pokemon TCG, and someone who makes me feel young. I mean, he's like turning 40 this year. So he
No way.
Yes, dude. It's so sick to be like around players who have been in the game longer than me, because at this point there like aren't that many. So
you must love this podcast then.
I do.
You must love coming every week.
You're one of the few people who've been in the game longer than me, but you weren't in the game that much longer than me, so you contribute almost nothing. As far as like
I feel like there's a good handful of players who've played longer than you, but not all of them.
Not that you encounter on a regular basis, dude.
Yeah.
Like just in day-to-day life, like yes, they exist, but like I don't get to spend hours.
You're running
and hours
into Chris
with them at a
in
time.
day-to-day life.
Not usually.
Oh, so yeah.
So that doesn't even apply. Okay.
So yeah. So no, to get to spend just like 9 hours straight talking Base Neo with Chris Fulop was incredible. He's a long-time player in the game. And
was he playing back then? I mean, I assume so. But
yes, winning tournaments.
Okay,
like he was winning tournaments. He finished. I think he finished top 8 or top 16 at like the Professors World Championships in 2002, which was like the unofficial Worlds. If you actually, look back at the game, there were kind of like big World Championships like run by Wizards of the Coast. kind of, right? Or like there
Mm-hmm.
was one, and like, but they didn't hold a Masters division for it in 2002 because they knew they were losing the license to the Pokemon TCG and that it was getting passed off to Nintendo. So in 2003, there was no World Championships because organized play was literally changing hands from Wizards of the Coast over to Nintendo or the Pokemon Company or whatever. Like, I mean, like eventually they created this, the Pokemon Company International, what would become the Pokemon Company International, which now runs organized play, right? So like, starting in 2004, that was their first World Championships run by like the Pokemon Company International, and Chris Fulop got second place at that World. So the first ever like kind of modern World Championship, the first ever real World Championship. Chris got second at, and then he went on to win the 2007 U.S. National Championships as well. So like he had played from base set. I mean, he was a player. Okay. He was a teenager who. Yeah, he was a teenager who liked Magic the Gathering. And when Pokemon came out, he was already into card games, right? Because he was already kind of like into Magic. So then when Pokemon Trading Card Game came out, he was already into Wizards' other game and was like, okay, well, I also really like this. And like started going to tournaments right away because he was already kind of in that sphere, right? So like for a lot of people, it's like, how do you get into actually like living the card game life, right? Like he kind of already was dabbling in it when Pokemon came out. So like, and he's just a little older than me, right? He's like 3-4 years older than me. So when like Pokemon came out, I was like 10, right? So but he was 14, and 14-year-olds are doing a lot more than 10-year-olds, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's
like,
generally true.
Yes. So like 14-year-olds can have hobbies. Like 10-year-olds are doing whatever is like at home.
So I actually looked this up, the 2002 like Professor World Championship, just to corroborate your statements. Not that I didn't believe you, I just wanted to see what it shaped out to be. So Chris Fulop got 11th at that in 2002. Guess who got 10th?
Ooh, hold on. It's an international tournament. Is it an international player?
This is like a pseudo Worlds. Yeah, I mean it's probably mostly Americans at this.
Okay. Well, oh man. I mean,
just go with your gut. You will get it right if you go with your gut.
Jason Klasinski or something.
Yeah, Jason Klasinski.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Right next to each other.
No, if you like look down the list, there's a lot of people on there that like you still recognize. I mean, like at least a few.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny that them two were sat right next to each other. Jason playing the Sneasel with Priorata Slowking, I think.
Yep.
And Chris Fulop with his Kingdra deck.
So that's like literally. So like Chris Fulop, I mean, like it was like commentating a tournament with, I mean, like the primary source, like the
well,
deck. He like made the
Uh-huh.
Kingdra deck, like back during his time playing, like he pioneered the Kingdra deck in this format.
Yeah.
Even with the Slowking being the way it was, and so like that deck was like his creation, and he piloted it back in the day. So like now Kingdra is largely seen as like the best deck in base Neo, and like that's Chris's thing. And to get to commentate the tournament with someone who lived through and played through that era of the game at the highest level, not that there was like super super high levels in 2002, but I mean it was the highest level available, right?
Yeah.
I always think it's really interesting.
Insane.
Sorry, you can finish your thought.
No, you're good. It was insane. It was insane, and I learned new bits of lore, commentating the event with him over the course of 9 hours. I learned bits of lore that I did not know previously. And it's like the more time I find myself spending with him, the more I'm learning, and I'm just soaking it all up. I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's like, so to get those moments on camera is really neat for me. So I've been talking to Chris, and we want to start collaborating more on doing more kind of stuff because we're both having a lot of fun with it. So it was great. And then of course, real quick, I want to shout out Alex Holtz. Ended up winning the thing with King Dramuck, and it was really cool because Alex, great friend of mine, has been for a long time, and listener of the cast. So shout out to Alex Holtz.
He is a
wherever
loyal
you are.
listener.
Yes. So he, we had gotten together a few weeks ago and started testing for the event. We did one testing session for the event, and I was like, all right, well, the deck that I had cooked up was Zapdos Crobat, and I think that Zapdos Crobat beats like the straight Kingdra deck.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we played that, and it looked good, and I was like, all right, well, let's put the Muck in the Kingdra deck and see if the Muck can stop the bats, right? And like I just could not beat it at all with the Muck in there. I was just losing just horrendously. And I was like, all right, just send the Kingdra Muck deck. The bat decks are going to be very popular, whether it's Zapdos Crobat or Sneasel Crobat or whatever. The bat decks are going to be very popular. Just play Kingdra. It's the best deck.
Well, can I just
put a Muck in it?
Can I
Boom.
intercede just for a moment here for those that are listening to us talk and they have no idea what you're talking about? First of all, if you're interested in old formats, obviously Andrew has a channel and he, features a lot of them over on YouTube. You can find the VOD over on Twitch as well. But the Kingdra deck, I really like Kingdra as a card. Like I really liked that card back when I was collecting and playing without like an organized play structure. Like when I was just playing with my dad, I was like, oh, this Kingdra's so sick. But I was only using the Twister attack, not the memory capsule attack or whatever that first one is. It's a colorless energy for that first attack. So you can use either a water or recycle energy, and recycle is generally, if you're attacking with that first attack, a little bit more useful because you get that energy back if you heal from a Pokemon Center, or if you discard via the super energy retrieval or super energy removal, I should say. You just get that energy back in the hand. This is really broken. But the Kingdra, the cool thing about Kingdra is that the first attack, you can copy any attack from the underlings. You're more often than not using the attack from the Mud Splash attack from the Seadra, which does 30 damage to the active and 10 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's like a very good, spread attack for that time, right? 30 to the active
10
and
damage
10.
is even on a coin flip, and it's still very good.
Yep. So quite good.
And I think there's context for why that those numbers are so good too, right? Like the baby Pokemon.
Yeah, the baby
completely
Pokemon
dominated
having
that
30
format.
HP.
They had 30 HP.
Well, and generally speaking,
They would get knocked out, obviously, by the Mud Splash itself, and then damage being piled onto them on the bench just racked up super, super fast because they only had 30 hit points.
Right, exactly. And then generally, you're looking at Kingdra having 90 HP for a stage 2. That was on the higher end of at least that format, right? Because you think about, Andrew, you're talking about the Crobat line. That is, we've seen this kind of effect that's recycled, right? Where it's the Zubat, and then you evolve once, and it does 10 damage. You can place 10 damage on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you evolve it into the Crobat. Like you said, has 70 HP, but you can place 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you can recycle that back into the deck via a few different item cards. But the context there is that the Kingdra deck against the Crobats, like you're saying, Crobat can just spread all this damage, take out the babies really easily, or pile up big damage for one shots on Kingdra with the Zapdos and doing all that. But the Muck is going to stop any Pokemon power, right? It ignores all Pokemon powers. So you're basically that's the counterplay there.
Oh yeah. So the Muck turns off Pokemon powers. It's nuts. And Kingdra doesn't require Pokemon power. It's just a big fat 90 hit point stage 2 with no weakness. So and it takes 1 energy to attack. So like you said, you've got this Pokemon Center, which is kind of like a max potion to your whole board. It's just you just can slug away with Kingdra and recycle energy. Pokemon Center, heal. You've got this crazy card Focus Band, which makes it so that if it's a tool card essentially, and when it's attached, every time you get knocked out, you flip a coin. If heads, you're not knocked out. The Focus Band gets discarded. So you got a 50% survival rate so long as the Focus Band's on. It's just this crazy deck. It could take a long time for Kingdra mirrors to finish, as you can imagine, with all the healing and the it's a 3-hit knockout, dude. Unless you're using Twister, which sometimes you do build up Twister, but usually it's just Mud Splash. And the Kingdra mirrors can take a while. So we played single game Swiss, all the way, 40-minute single game Swiss. 6 rounds because we have 45 players, which is awesome. We had some great prizing, $15 entry for it. So it's $225 first, 150 store credit to second, and then like 70s for top fours and like 40s for something like that, for everybody else in top 8. And the winner got a custom play mat with like the stream artwork on it, the thumbnail from the YouTube stream, except it says champion at the top. And then we also had some like empty theme deck cartons from like the Neo era, which we handed out to top finishers as well. So it was all in all just like a ton of fun. Single game Swiss, and then we did single game top 8 and single game top 4 as well, and then did an untimed finals. And I think our top 8 and our top 4 were all 50-minute single games. So like you have plenty of time, like as much time as you could want basically to finish a single game in top 8 and top 4. Yep. But King Dramirs themselves can sometimes take 50 minutes, 40 to 50 minutes, right? So to commit to like best of 3 and top 8 and top 4 of the retro tournament was like
hard to justify.
Yeah, really hard to justify. So but in the finals, it's like it's a finals, like play best of 3 for sure, because we want the finals to be a feel good conclusion, right?
Sure.
Now how you guys get there might be single games, but like the final should always be best of 3 in my opinion. So yeah, we had Alex Holtz versus Austin Bug in the finals. Austin playing a Zapdos Muck deck, Rocket Zapdos. Alex playing the Kingdra Muck deck. So Mucks helped clear the field of Bats. Bats kind of was a hot play for sure, and the Mucks shut them down, and then Alex Holtz ended up winning the whole thing. So really happy for Alex. He's got 9th place at back-to-back Gym Leader Challenge cash events that he attended. He's a big Gym Leader Challenge fan. So, had missed those big top cuts at the Full Grip streamed events that he'd attended lately, just barely. And then to get a win, I know he was really stoked about it. I was really happy for him. So congratulations again to Alex.
Yeah, that's awesome. What can players expect if they go to one of these events? Because I know you're planning on running many more. You were chilling on the stream, right, for RSPK format. That's Ruby and Sapphire to Power Keepers.
Yeah.
Which is
that's right.
One of the formats of all time. I mean, that's like one of the better representations of the card game, certainly from that era. And then there was talk I heard about 2011 and, certainly more down the road. So what could, if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking like, hey, that might be of interest to me, like what would you tell them? What could they expect when they go to one of these events?
Oh, for sure. All the information you can read on fullgripgames.com. There is a post on the front page about the retro series, and we have our upcoming schedule on fullgripgames.com, as well as all the information you'll need to sign up. They're $15 buy-ins, and 100% of the entry fees are paid out in store credit prizing. So like I said, with the 45 players at the base Neo tournament, looking at $225 store credit for first place, $150 second place. That's for 45 players that showed up. So 100% of your entry fee is going to go to store credit prizing. $15 entry fee is like enough that people feel like they're winning something, but not too expensive that I think the players will feel like it's such a big investment for a format they've never played before. So I feel like it's a fun balance for that. There are also rules about using proxies and things like that, as sometimes older cards are hard to get a hold of. And I think up to 6 proxy cards are allowed in your deck, so long as they are nicer proxies that will look good on stream, ones that can be printed from official proxy sources like online. You can, and those end up costing like $1 a piece, right? So like you can, if you need like a holographic Espeon EX from Unseen Forces, like yeah, you could proxy that, sure, but like don't make it just be like a crappy piece of paper printed out and jammed in a sleeve. Like I'm streaming these things, right? Like let's make it look nice. So yeah, so there's rules about proxies and There's foreign cards are allowed as well, so you don't have to have an all English deck if you don't want. Official prints of the cards are allowed, like World Championship versions of the cards are all allowed and stuff. Try to make the events as accessible as possible, and really the vibes are just fun. It's a lot of people who are fans of the format or just fans of playing cards in general will show up and just give the new format a try. A lot of times players will have decks for borrow or for lend as well if you're trying to get involved and don't have a deck. But communicating in the Tricky Gym Discord is a good way to get involved with that. We had some players travel all the way from Kentucky for this one, so that was awesome. Some players from Buffalo, New York as well. So there's certainly a little bit of a regional pull for it. It was really cool. Yeah,
that's great.
Well, there's only so many ways to like play paper for these retro type of formats, Like, honestly, I'm really impressed. Like 45 people at a base Neo tournament is gigantic in my opinion.
Chris was saying it like that is probably one of the biggest base Neo tournaments ever held.
Right.
Period.
Just of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. He said there was certainly bigger than most tournaments were back then.
Well, I also think it's really interesting, and this is a point I was going to make earlier, for particularly these like really early formats in the history of not only Pokemon, but like trading card games in general. People didn't hardly know how to play cards good at all back then. So it's really interesting to see when we revisit these formats with a modern lens, like how much they can evolve and grow as compared to, there's just only so many people playing and there are only so many resources available. And there's just so much more information and attention and TLC that you get these days. So, I think it's cool. I think it's fun. And I tuned in at the finals, and I wasn't surprised to see Alex Holtz there with a Kingdra deck that I was positive that you had supplied him.
But you guys were dissing on him. You guys were kind of throwing some shade. I feel like, and maybe Chris was doing it a little bit more. There was one play that he made where he item findered for the wrong thing. I think he was supposed to go for, or the play that you both were thinking he was going to go for was for the Pokemon Center, and he went for something completely different. And Chris was just like going in on him. He's like, I could have defended every play up until then, but this one is indefensible. I think
Chris doesn't hold back. He makes his opinions very clear.
Well, I mean, I think he was being pretty generous, for the lead up to that. But then he just kind of let it all loose.
Was such an egregious.
It was. I mean, it kind of sounded like that.
Resources.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Again. Imagine being the guy who came up with the Kingdra deck, right? And then you get to watch it being played like this.
My child.
I had to remind Chris. If you watched, you saw me then remind Chris. Well, Chris, not everybody can play as good as you, man. You're world's finalist, U.S. national champ. You literally invented the deck, bro. Alex has got the best deck in the room, and he's playing good enough. I told Chris, I was like, all you have to do is play better than everybody else. You don't have to.
It's true.
You don't have to necessarily. I'm like, Alex doesn't have to pop through the screen and beat you here in my office, actually. So all he has to do is beat the guy in front of him.
Which he did. So
which he did.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I hope to make it out. The 2011 is sounding appealing, so be fun to make it out for a tournament.
Would love that.
So
very cool. Well, fun stuff all around, but there's plenty more to talk about in the world of Pokemon. So let's dive right in. What do we say?
Let's do it. We have a bit of
a baton, JW.
Yeah, we have a bit of a somber point here, a note to touch on, and that's the passing of Jason Kingsford, aka Justin Basil. If you want to read a bit more about his contributions to the game, you can head over to an article that was posted on PokeBeach. But Jason unfortunately passed away this last week, and was known to me for his online resources, justinbasil.com, and known to a lot of locals and tournament players for his judging. And so just a someone that contributed a lot to competitive play and will be sorely missed.
Yeah, I mean it's tragic, right? I mean, he was very young, 36 years old, and if you're the type of person who's listening to a Pokemon TCG podcast, you have probably been affected by Jason's contributions and work in the game. He's huge in getting those translations and scans up for players, so huge impact on the game. And again, if you're the type of person who's listening to this podcast, whether or not you know it, you have likely been impacted by Jason's work. So be sorely missed. Much love to his family and friends who are grieving at this time.
Speaking of his work, we do have some new translations, right? And I'd be remiss if we didn't go to the mega evolutions on the Justin Basil website. We got the full reveals from, well, at least I believe it's full reveals from the newest, I guess the next set, mega evolution. We already seen a number of these cards. The Mega Venusaur, the Mega Lucario, Mega Gardevoir. But there was one card in particular that really pricked a lot of people's ears up. And Andrew, why don't you kind of discuss the new stadium that is getting a pseudo reprint in this Mega Evolution format?
I was gonna say new stadium or old stadium, JW.
Or
what's interesting with this stadium too is there's a different name, but if you look at the art, it does seem to be some kind of forest-like location with some extremely large plants.
Let's see, where are we at?
Lush Forest is a new stadium card, references an old stadium card. Each player's grass Pokemon can evolve into another grass Pokemon during the turn they play those Pokemon, except you can't evolve a Pokemon during the first turn.
There's some minor differences, though.
The one difference is that you can't evolve during the first turn.
No, there's two differences. There's two differences.
Okay, you could also evolve. You cannot evolve from a non-grass Pokemon.
There you go.
That's the other difference. Yep. Yes. No, because I remember the Shiftry Donk deck was a... Yeah, it was a darkness.
They're not making that mistake again.
Yeah, okay. So, sure. That was the one situation where that also came into play.
That deck was so fun, bro. Anyway. That's some deep lore. That's some deep lore.
All right. That is deep lore. All right. There are two differences. Sure. I didn't think about the first one. But yes, because in 99% of cases, grass Pokemon evolve into grass Pokemon. But occasionally they don't. And the old Force of Giant Plants made it so that all your grass Pokemon could evolve the turn they came into play, even if it was the first turn of your game. So, even in the weird evolution lines where you had a non-grass Pokemon evolve from a grass Pokemon, didn't matter. The grass Pokemon was allowed to evolve, so it could evolve into a non-grass Pokemon.
That's an extremely funny restriction for them to add, in my opinion. Because to me, it's almost like them we're not going to make the Shiftry mistake a second time.
Because that was the only instance of that loophole being exploited before.
Yes, right. Right.
Well, Shiftry is still a grass Pokemon, so that kind of makes me mad. Because why? Oh, Shiftry doesn't get to be grass anymore.
Yeah.
Because Shiftry is still grass, right? It should kind of get that still.
Well, it's so I think when they first printed Forest of Giant Plants, it seemed just so restrictive, right? Because before then we had Broken Time Space, and that is one of my just all-time favorite cards, period. That's just such a fun card, in my opinion. And obviously the context of that format when it was played was significantly different in the sense that pretty much every deck had some form of evolution, right? Be it predominantly Claydol, right, for a draw engine. But then you had, Gengar, Gardevoir, et cetera, Jumpluff, right, Gyarados, and down the line, a lot of decks were using evolutions. The restriction to just grass Pokemon when Force of Giant Plants came out was kind of disappointed. I remember thinking oh, this would be cool. Maybe they'll have, different ones for, the different types. And we'll see counter stadiums come up, and that obviously never happened. So, the fact that they're limiting it to grass is, again, a little bit, I don't know, disappointing to me. But I don't know, does this open up any interesting combos? We were talking a little bit before the cast. It seems like this card is printed solely so that a card like Mega Venusaur can see play. Is that kind of where we're at with this?
I mean, that's definitely the intended combo, right? Like, when they print cards, they often do it with the intention of there being some sort of combo piece there. And to me, it's obvious that Venusaur and the Forest are meant to play together. I don't know if that'll even make Venusaur viable or good. This is a very strong stadium, though, and it's the kind of stadium that doesn't age well, so to speak. Like, because if they ever print a good grass evolution Pokemon with some crazy ability, then all of a sudden this stadium is like public enemy number one.
Yeah, but how would you count?
Just like Forest of Giant Plants was back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so Forest of Giant Plants, I mean, that was the two big decks that I, remember Forest of Giant Plants being just abysmal for, right? Is any Vileplume deck. There were a lot of decks that would turn one Evolve up into a Vileplume and then play some kind of wall attacker. And the Vileplume just shut off items, so it basically ground every opponent's deck to a halt, and then they would slowly whittle you down with whatever wall attacker made it so your deck couldn't attack. And then the other Forest of Giant Plants deck was the Decidueye GX, and that, again, the
Which
context
was also
of
a Vileplume deck.
Yeah, that
right. That also
deck. And it was a non-Vileplume deck, but there were two
Yeah.
different kinds of Decidueye decks that played it for sure.
Yeah, and the context of that was a little bit different too, because Decidueye GX had an ability you could place 20 damage anywhere on your opponent's side of the field. Obviously, Pokemon back then had like 2/3 the amount of health as they do now, so that, like, the context there is you're putting on a lot more pressure earlier. But I don't know that I see the same kind of like broken abilities on these stage 2 grass Pokemon that you would want to play a deck centered around Lush Forest in the,
You are
in the Mega
forgetting
Evolution
another couple key components here.
Let's see. What am I missing?
That Forest of Giant Plants was printed during the XY era. You also had Trainer's Mail and Shaman EX, which were legal at the same
And
time.
Battle Compressor and Revitalizer.
Yep, Battle Compressor, Revitalizer. You had so many enablers for a card like Forest of Giant Plants because you could turbo through your deck and spring up the Grass Evolution Pokemon when you wanted to. With a card like Battle Compressor and Revitalizer, you could literally Battle Compressor the evolution line for your Oddish or for your Decidueye or whatever, and then just like draw with Shaman EX setup. It's a come into play ability. When you bench it, you fill your hand to 6. No limit on it. So like you could use setup 3 times in a turn, and that definitely happened.
Heck, why stop at 3?
And
Yeah, you can play
bench
4 in your
at
deck,
a certain point. At a certain point, yeah, 3 was as many as decks played. JW. I mean, not a lot of decks played unless you're Mega Ray, like a Skyfield deck. You weren't messing with 4 Shaman. It's just like your board would be so atrocious.
You could AZ.
No, Shaman was so goated because you could Sky Return it.
Yeah.
You could Sky Return it, yes, but that's why you didn't need to
DCE
play a
back.
4th, because you could just Sky Return it and use the 3rd one again.
Anyway.
So, anyways, you had all these enablers that allowed you to power through your deck. You could Shaman, set up, and then put the Forest down. Maybe you find the Forest with the Trainer's Mail, which allowed you to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put a trainer card you find there into your hand, right? So like you're finding these pieces with Trainer's Mail, you're finding these pieces with Shaman, and then you can complete the perfect turn with Force of Giant Plants, evolve up your stage 2 Pokemon on the first turn, and do something crazy on turn 1. It was not uncommon to see decks go turn 1 Decidueye, turn 1 Vileplume. All right, go, bud.
Yeah.
Vileplume made it so nobody could play items anymore. So you're going to I'm going to power through my deck first, set up a big stage 2, set up a Vileplume, go. In our current standard, that's not happening. There's no sort of draw like that, right? Like you would have to draw the absolute stones to get like a turn 1 stage 2, which like maybe you could with Squawkabilly, right? Like on turn 1, like you could hypothetically, maybe find the pieces you needed to put together a stage 2 on turn 1 with Squawk, but There's no card like Evolution Incense. There's the Mega Search, I guess, right?
Mega
But
Signal.
there's like no,
Yep.
yeah, there's Mega Signal, but there's no like no real card that like makes it easy to find those middle stage evolutions. There's no
No card yet.
Colress's Tenacity is like the best stadium support or like search, right? And it's like that's not going to help you do the drawing though, right? So like there's no there's no real good way to like spam your stage 2 grass Pokemon into play right now. This is a kind of card that's only as good as the format in it like supports it. Now, for me personally, waking up to this card getting reprinted was kind of crazy because I also run Gym Leader Challenge format, which is a, alternate format, the most popular alternate format in the Pokemon TCG right now. But there are no rule box cards allowed in Gym Leader Challenge, and all cards from Black and White through the most recent sets are legal. There's a small ban list, and as you alluded to earlier, Force of Giant Plants does not age well. In fact, Force of Giant Plants was banned from expanded format because of the toxic combos that existed with it and some of the cards in the expanded card pool. And then it also was one of the first cards that was ever banned in Gym Leader Challenge format because of the fact that you could search it out very easily with Roserade's Leparfum ability and spam Torterra very quickly, which when Brilliant Stars was released, Torterra was like the strongest non-rule box card.
Well,
like,
I mean,
at the
talk about
time.
the other
So-
enablers, right? Is you have the middle stage, the Grotle that has the ability that can search out grass Pokemon, and then you have
For
the
sure.
Skeptile middle stage that can search out evolution. So you're like, just by playing the stadium down and having one of those, right? You're just like building
It's like
up a
infinite
massive
Pokemon,
board. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. There's a lot of grass Pokemon that search out the grass Pokemon. That's kind of like their thing. And now, with Pokemon reprinting this card with a slight nerf, Force Giant Plants, you could do it all turn 1 if you wanted to. But with this card, you cannot do it on the first turn of the game, either player. So it's got a slight nerf to it, and there were a lot of players who were kind of up in arms about the card in the Gym Leader Challenge communities when it was revealed. A lot of players kind of calling for an instant ban before it even comes out, and saying that like, oh well, Force of Giant Plants is already on the ban list. Like this surely will just slide right alongside it. And that's not the decision that I made. So like I decided that I certainly wanted to see how the card plays out in the format,
Well,
and how it impacts the format from the place that it's at right now, and we'll kind of see how it goes. So for me,
have you braced yourself
I'm
for
kind
the
of
fallout?
excited. I'm kind of excited for the for the shakeup of the format,
Uh-huh.
as Grass got Torterra with Brilliant Stars, but really has not had a good card printed for it as a type. Gym Leader Challenge is also a mono-type format, so you can only play one type of Pokemon in your deck. So the Grass card pool, it was looking real good when Brilliant Stars came out because like it got Grotle, it got Torterra, but like if you look back at the last like 2 years, you're like, yep. Grotle and Torterra, those are the best cards added to the grass pool since so grass hasn't gotten much in like 2 years. And then for it to get this Lush Forest card, it's like, okay, well, every other type has improved by leaps and bounds over the course of like the last couple years, but grass has not. And at the time, grass was the best deck when Force of Giant Plants got banned from the format. And the reason it got banned is because the grass was already like one of the best decks in the format. As grass got a ton in the Sword and Shield block, and was one of the best types when the format started. But Force of Giant Plants was kind of like an old problematic card that wasn't really jiving with like some of these new cards from the Sword and Shield era, right? Rillaboom, which you could spring up very easily. Now Torterra, like the deck was kind of getting nuts, and for me, the way I like to balance the format is that sometimes like you lop off an old card if it doesn't jive with the new cards and the way the game's going. But like now we could take a look at the way the game's going, and it's like, okay, well, now like this card might actually work for a little while. So we'll kind of let it ride for a while, and then maybe we'll get to a point where we're like, nope, it's done its time again in the format, and we'll let it go. And the way that I've explained ban lists before in Gym Leader Challenge format is when you have an eternal format like this that never rotates, bans are like rotations. It's like you kind of have to think of them like that, right? So when people are like, oh, well, surely Forest of Giant Plants was so problematic that when Lush Forest comes out, like, we're going to ban it right away. Like, no. Think of it like, okay, we're going to mix things up in this way for a little while, and then maybe the card will rotate back out of Gym Leader Challenge again. I'm thankful that I don't have Forest of Giant Plants legal right now, because if I were to have this card coming in, then we got 2 of them in the grass pool, which would, then be twice as problematic. So I'm actually excited to see how the card plays in Gym Leader Challenge format as a one-of. It's a singleton format as well, so you can only play one of each card with the same name in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can only play one Lush Forest in a Gym Leader Challenge deck, it's not like you're going to be getting a turn 1 or turn 2 every single game or anything like that. It's much more balanced than a format where you're just like churning through your 4-ofs and like slapping down the same degenerate game plan every single game. Gym Leader Challenge isn't really like that as much. And the singleton nature of it really serves to help balance it. And my hope is that the card can, slide right into the format again and be a fun mix-up of the game for years to come.
Well said, Andrew. Yeah, I mean, the take I have, or at least as what I agree with you on, as regards to Gym Leader Challenge, at least, is you got to go with the flow to some extent with what the game designers are trying with the game. Can't try and like preemptively balance every single thing that comes out.
100%. No, it's foolish to try and do that. I'm not the one who makes the cards, so like I've always seen it as like you're trying to take what the game designers are throwing you and have it just kind of like go as smoothly as possible. You want to ride the wave with them wherever they're going. You don't want to try and fight them, or you're just going to constantly be at odds with the game that they're making.
Yeah, it's an interesting point to bring up, for sure. For sure. Well, okay, so consensus here is that Gym Leader Challenge, wait and see, standard format, not a lot to write home about. Let's take a look at some of these grass cards, and we'll work our way down to the new reveals. We've obviously seen the Mega Venusaur. This seems like the big card to be using with the new Forest Stadium, right? Transfer, Solar Transfer is the ability, is often used like you may use this ability, move a basic grass energy from one of your Pokemon to another Pokemon. Very timeless ability over the years. Any of these other grass reveals jumping out to you guys? I mean, I know a lot of these are pretty, just as with most sets, they have a lot
They're
of...
looking bulky. They're
fluff.
looking bulky.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the attention that the designers are going for is you combo the Venusaur with the Meganium. The Meganium with the Wild Growth ability doubles your grass energy attachments effectively. So every 1 grass energy provides 2. So, you evolve up both your stage 2s. You only need to get 2 energy in play, and you can start jungle dumping. I feel like those multi-stage 2 decks are just not the wave. So, like, you got to be seriously committed, I think, to make that work.
No. It's got to be Meganium Ogerpon, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't sound bad. That doesn't sound bad.
That sounds better than Meganium Venusaur, low-key, but...
Well, because you could do... I mean, imagine doing, like Ogerpon Noctowl.
Meganium Ogerpon Toadscruel. Like, just put it in the Toadscruel deck.
Yo.
Oh, see?
So
there
sick. Now we're cooking. There's another grass Pokemon with an ability, the Shuckle. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any G energy attached, you may use this ability. Heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. So there's, synergy there. You can move a grass energy with the Venusaur, heal 30 damage. Seems largely underwhelming. We do get a new Shiftry, the grass type Shiftry, and it harkens back, right, to, again, those old heads will know, one of the decks, like, it was like banned before a tournament ever happened, I think, which is crazy. Yeah. And shout outs to Andrew Wamble, I have no doubt influenced this by, and maybe that's an episode in and of itself, but going back and reading his article on the Charizard Lounge about the Shiftry deck. This is a crazy thing. It had an ability you could flip, and you could shuffle one of your opponent's Pokemon back into their deck or whatever, pick it up to hand or something like that. Anyway, that's a story for another time. The Shiftry is a harkening back to those glory days. Gale Return for 1 grass, flip a coin. If heads, shuffle one of your opponent's Pokemon and all attached cards back into their deck. And for grass and a colorless, Perplex, 100 damage. Your opponent's active is now confused.
It's fun to throw a little reference as a treat, and the Shiftry's grass type now, so you can actually evolve it with the new form.
We have a new Ninjask and Nincada. The Ninjask cast off shell. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may search your deck for a Shedinja. Put it in onto your bench, then shuffle your deck afterward. And then the U-turn. I don't know, man. This feels like they've printed this same exact card.
They have
like
a million
3 or
times.
4 times.
Next.
Yeah. U-turn,
Next.
90 damage, switches Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Let's continue on. We have the Mega Camerupt. I know you were pretty excited about this one, Riley.
Yeah, Mega Camerupt just looking insane in that card art, by the way. I really like what Mega Camerupt's putting out, to be honest. I think it's really funny. But Mega Camerupt is an interesting looking card for 1 fire energy. If your opponent's active Pokemon is burned, you can do 240 damage, 80 base, and 160 extra if your opponent's active is burned. We do have a couple burn activators in the format in Volcanion EX, and there's a Volcarona as well that can burn your opponent's active by discarding a fire energy. So pretty efficient. It's 260 all said and done with no other modifiers because the burn will do 20 by itself. It's kind of interesting. It synergizes well with the Wally to heal, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, you knew they had to print a powerful fire card to counter all the grass.
All the broken grass types. Yeah, you gotta keep them in check.
Yeah, these kinds of strategies are, I feel like, not the greatest, but sometimes when they work, like, they're really strong. And I think for just a single fire, like, this has a lot more potential than some of the other attacks that we've seen. You know, certainly
It's
the single energy
it's got
attachment
potential.
really helps. Yeah,
I think. I think it'll depend on how well it can synergize with burn activators, but it has some good stuff. Like,
Bro,
260 for 1 is good. You got Wally's Compassion to heal.
40 hit points.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The card actually reads good to me. The only
yeah. I
part
mean,
that
80
reads-
for 1 is not bad either, right? Because you're knocking out pretty much every non-evolving basic, or sorry, every evolving basic.
Or even 80 plus 260 like knocks out a lot of stuff too.
Right.
You know, if the burn doesn't come back to you, or if you just need a 2-hit KO. I don't know. It seems the card doesn't read bad to me, and when you also have like Wally's as the pseudo max potion, that also like starts to raise eyebrows for me. So I'm intrigued by Camerupt. I think it has potential.
Isn't there a Volcanion EX that burns when it's in the active
Yes, that's what I'm
spot?
saying. Yeah, there's the Volcanion and the Volcarona are like the best burn activators. I actually checked this.
Yeah,
we just
don't have like the greatest way to chain that, right? It's like this has 4 energy retreat costs, so you're not moving that with just an air balloon.
You need switches.
You need
jet
switches,
energies,
and then you need
and
Latias,
Prime
and then you
Catcher.
need
switching Latias and Jet, and you're chilling. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, we don't have like escape rope, right? I would say, in formats with escape ropes and switches, this kind of, status condition where you need to get a Pokemon active are a lot more reasonable. And now that we kind of, are just stuck with switch as the only item-based switch, makes it a little harder.
Switch Latias, Prime Catcher, and like and
Okay, well, I
Volcanions,
think we found our deck for this season.
You're chilling, bro.
I think we found our
The
deck
one
for this
thing
season.
that's really annoying is Volcanion. It'd be so much nicer if you could like air balloon the Volcanion, but it's got 3 retreat.
3 energy
It's a
retreat.
fatty.
I
Of
know.
course it does. Because
Yeah.
of course it does.
Can't have nice
Of course,
things.
yeah.
Can't have nice things.
Exactly.
All right. Coming on down to Cinderace. We're going to go quickly through some of these. Explosiveness is the ability. If this Pokemon is in your hand when you are setting up, you may put it face down as your active. So we've seen this before, most notably in Talonflame from 2016. But this has the for a colorless energy, and I like how they do this where, they have this ability, you can play it on your first turn, it's a stage 2, but then they make the attack cost very accessible. So a colorless, it doesn't limit you to like some kind of fire deck. This could be played in a number of different decks. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. There are, synergies with these types of decks with like Pokemon that can only come into play via some other means, right? You have to play 1 basic Pokemon in your deck, but you could play fossils, right? And so, your chances of starting the Cinderace, if you play 4 of those and then 1 basic, are over 80%. And then you set up your auxiliary attacker through like a fossil, or, back in the day you had maybe other like Archies or Maxies or something to get out other Pokemon. So I don't quite see kind of
I've always
what
hated
this
these
slots
cards.
in. Really? I think they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think they're funny.
I think this guy could have potential. I was thinking about it in like we've got megas back, right? So like the potential to play like a quad or a 3 of just big basic mega deck, like that could exist, right? And you could play Cinderaces to load energy onto your like big beefy mega guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's just a basic. And then, since you only play like freaking 3 of them or whatever, you probably start the Cinderace and your deck is just, Cinderace plus Mega. And honestly, it could be a stage 1 Mega too that you play. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter. And you could play 4 Cinderace in like a 3-3 Mega line or something like that, or a 3-4 Mega line to give yourself more of the Megas to evolve, but less of the basic because you want to start Cinderace. So, like, that's... I could see it. I actually think it kind of makes sense that this card exists now, but not in this particular set because I don't see anybody that I like love using it with. But like, this is the new block, right? I mean, presumably all the EXs that we are going to get in the Mega Evolution block are going to be Megas. There is no regular Pokemon EX in this set. I think that's something that's worth noting. It was very strange when I read that. I was like, wait, are you serious? There's no regular EX. There are literally no regular EXs. There are no regular EXs in this set. It is all Megas.
Wow. Yeah.
And there are like 50-something Megas. So you figure over the course of the next handful of sets, the new Z to A games are also going to give us some new Megas, right? Dragonite's already been revealed. So you figure they're probably going to go try to run through every single Mega plus the new ones. Maybe a few will get skipped. But like they're trying to run through as many Megas as they can for sure.
No, I mean we kind of already have the outline, right? The next set is Charizard, Gengar, Diancie are the headliners. We have the Rayquaza set.
Yep.
We have, I think there's one more beyond that, but I mean certainly what you're talking about of like running through all the Mega Pokemon, making them EXs. I mean that's already just laid out in front of us. So
that's literally what they're doing.
Which to be fair, like it'd be really weird. Just from like a sheer logistics standpoint, to reintroduce Megas and not print them all as cards again.
Oh, for sure. No, I'm like happy they're doing it. I mean, like thematically with what the rest of the franchise is doing right now, like for sure. Oh, like, let's do it. Whatever, Megas is the thing. Megas are back.
Bring us back. Bring us back. We were looking before the cast. We were looking back at the like pandemic era deck lists. Bring us back to the 4/4. EX,
oh baby,
Mega EX, similar to how we were playing VMAXs back in the pandemic formats. I mean, speaking of Megas,
so hideous.
Talk about Mega Abomasnow. This dude, this guy. Avalanche Hammer is the first attack, 100 damage. Discard the top, or 100 damage times. Discard the top 6 cards of your deck. Attack does 100 damage for each basic water you discarded in this way. So I mean, 600 damage for 2. I mean, that's pretty good, fellas. And then the second attack. 3 waters,
and
frost
then the
barrier,
second attack,
200 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attack.
Look, some of the Megas are going to have to be bulk. That's just the way of the world. Okay.
What are you talking about, dude? I'm going to knock out
like,
your Mega Venusaur
certainly
with my
the guy
Avalanche
that's going to
Hammer.
be bulk. No, Abomasnow was never going to get the love, okay? He was never gonna get.
He was always gonna be the bulk one.
He always was, dude. He's got the CG art. Yeah, just nope. Straight to the bulk pile. Straight to some elementary schoolers collection. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, my guy has got 350. You lose.
350 and 4 retreat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're getting freaking slammed by this guy, idiot.
It's
That's
okay.
so
They
funny.
can't all be winners. They can't all be winners. Just
They can't.
doesn't work that way.
Nope. All right, let's keep going down. Keep going down. I'm not seeing anything that I love until we come to the Mega Manectric. I'm not even sure I love this either, but 2 lightning, flash ray, 120 damage. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. Somewhat interesting, but then you figure that the Megas, at some point are going to take over. And really what's a basic Pokemon in our current format that would attack. You're looking at like Raging Bolt.
But there's basic megas. There's basic megas.
Basic megas, bro.
Yeah,
Rayquaza is a basic mega.
I guess. And then Riot Blaster is a second attack. 3 lightning. 200 damage. You may discard all energy attached to this Pokemon, and if so, you do 130 more damage.
Dude.
Free retreat.
Yeah, I
330 hit
actually
points?
kind of like this card because to me this is like the platonic ideal of like an Eels attacker. It's got
Yes.
free retreat built right onto it. It discards energy for a crap ton of damage. I mean, you can't compare this in Abomasnow, right? Like, this is a way better card than that.
Oh heck yeah, dude! Like this is built for the eel deck.
We were just slamming Eels as fraudulent not even a week ago.
Not
So-
me. Not me. That
But-
was y'all. I
No,
said
Eels
print
is
one
fraudulent.
card.
In
Eels is
current moment.
fraudulent.
It is fraudulent. in
No,
current moment.
bro. No, bro. I had my third eye was opened. I could see that like all it took was one card. You guys were so locked into a single moment in time, bro.
Gosh.
Nobody was
I just-
making an argument about
I just
whether Eels
persist
is
through
like
all layers of time, and you guys.
you're like arguing
were
with a
not.
different like concept than what JW and I were putting out there.
Yeah.
No, bro. I just like was seeing in a different plane than you guys was all.
Whatever.
All right,
but to
guys,
me, this is like
comment
the
if we should
platonic
let-
Eels attacker.
Comment if we should let Andrew live in his own world. Let us know. But yeah, okay, all right. I don't know. Maybe you guys have convinced me. I didn't necessarily consider the free retreat with the Eels doing 330. That's like mirror numbers, and maybe with some kind of damage mods, you're hitting up to the higher EXs. So, okay, I could be convinced for sure. We've seen the Kadabra, we've seen the Alakazam draw a few extra cards on the evolution there. We get a new Ralts and Kirlia. Of course, we have the collect on the Ralts. We've seen this card before in prior casts, but if you haven't, 70 HP Ralts and draw a card for a single colorless energy. So already I would consider that an improvement from the current standard legal Ralts. And then Kirlia is also an improvement for 2 reasons. The 100 HP is relevant. That's 10 more than it currently has. And the call sign attack for a psychic energy. Search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Of course, seen the Mega Gardevoir coming down to the Shedinja. We've seen this before. Ability Fragile Shell. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon EX, your opponent can't take any prize cards for it. And then does for 1 psychic energy damage beat 20 times. This attack does 20 damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. Have a Grumpig. Grumpig ability energy step. Once during your turn, you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon. You may use this ability. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic energy you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. I feel like this kind
It's
of
like
once
Terrible
per turn,
Matang, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say any type
really
of this
is.
ability, like once per turn, evolving, shuffling, looking at the top X number of cards has really never caught
I mean,
on.
it seems like what they're trying to have synergize with Mega Guardy, right? Like, oh, you're gonna find like 2 or 3 energy there, and you're gonna power up all your dudes, and your Gardevoir is gonna do a lot of damage. That's get real. Come on.
Get real.
on.
Yeah.
We're not
Come
doing
on.
that. Like we're just not. Going
Stop
to
trying
do
to make it happen. It's not gonna happen.
that. we're not going to do that, dude.
That's funny. All right. We saw the Hariyama, but bears repeating. if you weren't there for the last podcast. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability, switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. So another stage 1 with this Gust ability. It's interesting because we do suspect that there will be a Boss's Orders reprint, and we'll come to that shortly. The Lunatone, we've seen this one as well. Discard a basic fighting energy from your hand. If you have a Soul Rock in play, draw 3 cards. Very nice.
The Soul Rock is fighting, bro. This is big news.
Oh, yes. Oh,
right?
yes.
Huge news. It does 70 damage for 1.
I don't hate this either. The 70
no, it's
damage.
incredible, dude.
That's like
it's incredible.
Yeah, that's
usually
a
what
GLC
happens
package right there.
Yeah, usually what happens
Yeah.
with this Lunatone Soul Rock combo is like one of the cards will be just very good, and then the other will be
Terrible.
just there to enable the other card. Yeah. But these are, you obviously they're doing different things, but the Soul Rock is not a bad card on its own. Like, certainly it's enabling the Lunatone, which is what we're looking for, right? We want that draw engine. But 70 for 1, I mean, that's putting on early pressure,
Look
which
at Fan
again
Rotom,
is...
dude. Like, look at what Fan Rotom does.
Yep.
Fan Rotom does 70 for 1. I mean, like, and it's good, right?
Yep.
I mean, Soul Rock also 70 for 1. It's good. That's a good number to hit. I mean, there was a whole deck based around that with Team Up Zapdos was doing 80 for 1. Well, that was like an entire archetype in the Sun and Moon era. That not so much these days, but there is the Fighting Gatorade too, okay, which comes out in this set. It's like Electro Power for fighting Pokemon. So, one of the key parts of the Zapdos deck was that you had Electro Power, could boost that Zapdos numbers for some like really burst attacks with your single prizer. So even in standard format, I mean, obviously the Soul Rock and the Lunatone are meant to be played with Mega Lucario. I don't think that Mega Lucario is a meta viable card really, but any fighting deck has to kind of be on notice that the Soul Rock Lunatone engine is there, especially if you're playing out of the discard pile. The Mega Lucario does play out of the discard pile. That's why the combo is like very obvious. Like, they're meant for each other. You Mega Lucario, accelerate energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon, and then Lunatone Soul Rock's your consistency engine. In Gym Leader Challenge format, the fact that the Soul Rock is fighting and is also a very good early attacker in a format with no rule box Pokemon, it's just a really powerful 1-2 punch and a huge buff for the fighting archetype altogether. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Coming down to the dark types, we have a basic Mega Absol EX with the Doom Period attack. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 6 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. Obviously can manipulate that damage with something like Monkey Dory. Cruel Claws, the second attack for a dark colorless attack cost, does 200 damage. Your opponent reveals their hand. Discard a card you find there.
Dude, someone needs to go to creatures and tell them to stop with the first attack here. Like, enough of like the specific amount of damage counters that you're knocked out. Enough is enough. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
I have one other kind of attack that I'm trying to like get them to stop printing, and that's like if your opponent's Pokemon is like, or like next turn, if your opponent's Pokemon is still there, it's dead.
Yes.
Nope. Nobody has ever been knocked out.
They're trying. They got the Spiritomb right below here, with the resentful Maelstrom. Does 10 damage to the opponent's active whenever your active dark Pokemon is. But like, what are we doing, man? Like, you set up 3 Spiritombs and still not enough, and then you gotta what?
Well, yeah, that's like that's the issue, right? Is like,
this is ridiculous.
Like,
there's no way to set this up.
I know this
silly.
needed to be like 3 damage counters, right? And then you could get 3 Spiritomb in play,
right?
And then they take a knockout,
and then it would still be terrible, but like.
Because the Mega Absol takes 2 energy still. Yeah, no.
Yeah. It's a tough sell.
They gotta cut it out.
They do gotta cut it out for sure. I want to call the Steelix. I think this is the hardest art in the entire set, without a doubt. This is my my goat right here.
It looks great.
Yeah, this
great.
like jumped out to me immediately. I thought this card was awesome. Welcoming Tail. If you have exactly 6 prizes remaining, this attack does 200 more damage. So hey, a quick 240 on a stage 1 for 2 colorless. yeah, nothing to say there. We've talked about the Mega Mawile, unfortunately. Nothing great out of the Dialga. The Tinkatuff is kind of interesting. We do have a, probably better Tinkaton. Well, I know that they're better in current standard, but then you have this ability on the Tinkatuff, so that whole line gets a buff here. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, use this ability. Flip a coin. If heads, discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. New Goldengo, that's not usable. The Mega Latios and Latios, we've talked about these before, but potential here with the combo to do 300 damage on your first turn of the game with the Mega Latios EX. I'm not really seeing a use case for it.
Bro.
Yeah, not really seeing a use case for it.
It's
the Latios,
worse than Pikachu EX.
The Latios, once during your turn, when your Mega Latios EX moves from your bench to the active, you may use
It's not
this
worse
ability.
than Mewtwo EX. Okay.
No,
Let's
it's
be
worse
real.
than Mega. It's worse than Pikachu EX.
Worse
Oh,
than Pikachu
Pikachu.
EX.
I thought you said Mewtwo. Okay.
No,
The
it's
Latios-
worse. It's worse than Pikachu EX.
It's easier to set up than Pikachu.
It allows you to move energy from your bench Pokemon to your active. So the combo here is to use the Ethan's Ho-Oh, get 2 fires in play, move the Latias active, attach a Psychic, and then do 300. This is, again, probably bulk for now. Coming down to
It
the
is funny
colorless.
that it synergizes so well with Latias EX, the non-Mega.
That is
Yeah.
true. That is true. Fascinating stuff. The Mega Kangaskhan. We've talked about this, yes?
Yes, we have.
Not really.
And we talked about how hard the art went. We didn't really talk about
Yeah,
Run
but-
Errand.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Pokemon from a design perspective. Ability Run Errand. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use this ability. Draw 2 cards. Can't use more than 1 Run Errand ability each turn, which feels extremely unnecessary, I might add. But that is the text here. And then for 3 colorless rapid fire combo, 200 plus damage. Flip a coin until you get tails. This attack is 50 more damage for each head. So infinite damage.
Kangaskhan loves to flip a coin.
It does, dude. I mean, it's a callback, right, to the other Mega Kangaskhan. That one also had a.
Even just
a
OG
flip attack.
Kangaskhan with Comet Punch.
All right, so now with a Latias EX in play, I get Iono to 1. I promote Mega Kangaskhan EX. I fill my hand to 3 with Mew EX. I flip a Descript for 3 more cards. I'll Run Errand for 2 more. There's my game-winning combo.
That is a
Yeah.
pretty heavy bench investment.
It is.
There.
I'm being facetious, but this is how much draw is available in the game, right? It's kind of
It's
crazy.
true.
There's a lot
It's
of
true.
draw. You know?
Yeah, a lot of basic ability draw in the game right now.
And like maybe once Mew EX rotates, I don't
Like,
does
this
Mew
is
EX
just
rotate
the
to
card.
year? Maybe that's
Oh,
the guy
Mew
that
EX
takes
is
the spot.
151.
I don't know when that set was released, so
Well, I guess that's coming up, isn't it?
that's what I'm telling you. I think it was 2 years ago. So I think it's
it
probably
was 2 years
rotating
ago
out.
because we were ripping packs in Japan.
In Japan. I know. Yeah,
Oh,
So-
man. Jeez, take me back.
I know. So Mega Kangaskhan, I mean, the card's not bad. It could certainly just be a guy who gets played in a Latias EX deck. You know, after Mew is kind of that de facto spot now, but eventually Mew's not going to be here, and Kangaskhan could just be that guy. It's just like helps
For
you
sure.
draw an extra couple cards, right? You know.
And I know you said that Lucario doesn't really have a place in the meta, Andrew, but to me, Lucario actually totally exemplifies what fighting does do well historically in the TCG, and that's prey on weakness, right? Like you
That's
can
true.
Aura Jab with 1 Gatorade and knock out a Kangaskhan for 3 prizes for 1
That's true.
energy. Pheasantipity for 1 energy. With 2 Gatorades, you can knock out the Manectric that we were hot on for 1 energy. So like, yeah, that's the fighting niche in my mind, is knocking out cards like this.
Man, that
people
sounds
wanna
so
play in the deck.
lame. I'm just thinking about it now. Like, I take 3 prizes for a 1 energy attack.
Yeah, man, that's just
Man.
the way. That's the way we play this.
I
game.
don't know,
Okay.
man. That's
Whatever.
like, now I'm saying it out loud. Like, it just does not sound that appealing.
Yeah, well, they should have taken weakness off the Megas if they wanted to get you. What do you want me to tell you?
I'm gonna
Full
become a
Grip Games
pocket
will be
main.
running an RSPK tournament. If you want to play like back in the old days, 2006, sign up for the Full Grip Games RSPK tournament this October.
Good times, good times. Ace Roller's Mischief talked about this as well. Choose one of your Pokemon in play during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. So a very interesting card for a number of reasons. You can choose the Pokemon in play, right? So if you have a liability,
I choose my Pheasantipity.
exactly, right? And you could basically like build a game state that forces your opponent to into a suboptimal play, be it passing for the turn or taking a one prize knockout when they need two to win. There's a lot of potential with a card like this. The only real problem is having it in hand when you need it. Boss's Orders speculated to get a reprint. This was I believe this was the image that was provided for the boss. And as you can see here in the bottom left, the I regulation mark. Now this is a plasma gets his boss's orders. So I think there's, again, that's kind of maybe why we're talking about speculated here. But it is understood that this will get a reprint. So another 2+ years of supporter-based Gust.
Well, it's interesting they presumably are reprinting Boss, but not its like sister card, I guess, in research. I feel like those two have gone hand in hand ever since Sword Shield Block, and it's almost weird to see one without the other to me.
I mean, we don't know that this is all of the cards, right?
I think we know everything that's in Mega Symphonia and the other one, Mega Brave, but I don't think that necessarily totally encompasses what we might get in Mega Evolutions in the US.
Sure. Yeah. So, there's been some discussion online about whether or not Boss's Orders is like healthy or whether or not people want to see it in the game. There was a thought, right? We had discussed this a few podcasts ago of like, wow, we haven't seen Boss's Orders reprinted for quite some time. They have some of these other effects, right? Like the Hariyama that we were looking at, the Double, the Lycia's Appeal, as kind of maybe we're transitioning into a new era where there's not just unlimited Gus, all right? There's some kind of restriction on the Boss's Orders effect, but that doesn't seem to be the case, and we'll have this card for a number of years. Carrying down, we also get Energy Switch as a reprint. We get a Fighting Gong. Search your deck for a basic fighting Pokemon or fighting energy card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. So I do like the kind of dual use. These are often very strong cards for their archetypes. We have the Iron Defender. During your opponent's next turn, all of your metal Pokemon take 30 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. We have the Lily's Determination. We talked about this one. Shuffle your hand. Shuffle your hand in your deck, then draw 6. If you have exactly 6 prize cards remaining, draw 8 instead. So quite a strong
broken card
supporter.
For sure.
Yeah, just insane in our opinion. Lieutenant Search's Bargain. Andrew, why don't you take this one?
Bruh. Ask your opponent if both players may draw a prize card. If yes, they do. If no, draw 4 cards. You know what? I mean, just like, thank God. It's interesting, right? Like, it'll like, thank God.
Really makes you think.
Because honestly, I mean, just like so many cards, Pokemon prints, and I'm just like, it's bulk, but it's not even funny bulk, And like, this is at least funny bulk, okay? And
like Cedric Juniper tier.
Yeah.
Like, and that's cool. Funny bulk is funny because what funny bulk does is it allows for, funny games to happen and funny things to happen at limited tournaments like pre-releases and stuff like that. It allows for funny cards to exist within people's cubes and things like that. These kinds of cards will find their way into funny formats like that. Self-contained custom formats. It just, honestly, there are so many cards where like this would just be like something just so completely ludicrous and horrible that like you would never even have any use for it whatsoever. But this is at least like funny, and for that I appreciate it. Do I think it's like? No, I don't really think that you're gonna be bargaining Lieutenant Surge with your opponent at the regional championships. I really don't think that, but it's funny at least, and it'd be funny if you did.
I mean, draw 4 is like pretty good, right? Like
it's fine. Yeah.
I don't think anyone's debating that. So
yes, but are you gonna play a supporter card for both you and your opponent to take a prize? Because most of the time, opponent's probably just gonna be like, "All right, bet," we're both taking a prize card, and like you're not drawing any cards.
Yep.
And you just wasted your supporter doing something absolutely asinine, and when I play my supporter, it's gonna do something really good. And you played
and I took a prize card last turn.
Yeah, and you played your supporter and did nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what. Last time Lieutenant Surge showed his face around these parts, it didn't end well. So this is fine. You know.
Yeah. Very very much appreciated after what we've all gone through with Lieutenant Surge. So. A couple other trainers to round it out here. We have Repel. Switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench. This is cool. I like these items. I felt like they've always kind of like there was a Pokemon Circulator in the past, had a similar effect. See Repel here. These are always nice to have in the format.
Then what impact did Repel have?
Yeah,
on the
bro.
game?
What Pokemon Circulator was really good. I mean, you didn't have Boss back in the day.
I'm talking about Repel.
Repel? You can like push out a Mega that you can't knock out. Right? It's the same as like the Delibird, right? We're losing.
Last time
Iron
they printed
Bundle.
Repel, it did not get a single limitless entry in its entire life.
Oh,
cycle.
okay. You guys are
this kind of
small
effect
brains.
is really good on like a Pokemon. JW, it's really horrible.
No.
Pokemon
Pokemon Circulator was played back in 2010, 2011. That card was really good.
It wasn't
back
even
then.
good. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was, dude. No,
No, it
okay,
wasn't.
black and white on. It was actually good.
No, it wasn't, bro.
Yes, it was, dude.
Pokemon Catcher came out in Emerging Powers. What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Emerging Powers was black and white too, dude. You're literally you're smoking
hold on.
doinks, dude. You're smoking huge
Dude,
doinks.
stop smoking doinks.
You're so fried right now, dude.
No, what am I?
Repel,
Because it was definitely played.
Circulator was never good.
It was definitely played.
Man.
I was listening
Okay.
to you yap about this effect being like somewhat useful, and I was like, "Holy crap, he is like off his gourd right now."
No, it was definitely played back then. It was definitely played, 100%. Pokemon Circulator, same effect as Repel. That was definitely a
No,
card.
because there was Pokemon Reversal was printed during Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Yeah.
That card saw play, not the
Yeah.
horrible
no,
card you're
Pokemon
talking
Circulator
about.
did see play. Dude, Pokemon Circulator did see play because
Not as much as
you needed
Reversal.
to get.
Reversal was just
Yeah,
better,
not as
bro.
much. I'm not saying as much. I'm just saying it had a use
No,
case.
and you know who played Pokemon Reversal, or you know who played Pokemon Circulator? Bad players, bro.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Well,
well,
okay,
let's
maybe I
leave
did
Circulator in the past where it belongs. I'm just saying Repel saw no play last time it was printed.
Yeah, it's tough to justify Repel when we have like not only automatic Gust but also Iron Bundle.
Prime
Right, there's
Catcher
a, like
too,
bundle in
bro.
the format. There's counter catcher. There's boss. Yeah, this probably not seen play if I.
There's the
Yeah.
Hariyama that could like go against somebody.
Yeah, probably not the greatest.
Boss just
Probably
got
not the
refreshed.
greatest card. Probably not the greatest card ever, but always nice to have it in the
So nice to have access to it though.
We're just really glad they reprinted. Hold up, Natalie, we got to get all the repels out of the expanded box and put them back in
I'm
the expanded
saying,
box.
I've been,
I'm
I've been
saying.
specking on repels. dude.
Repel is back.
I wonder what the old repels go for these days. Maybe with the reprint.
We
They
should
probably
buy them out, bro. We
bladed
should
like
buy them out.
crazy after this. Yeah.
We got to buy out the old repels. This card's going to go.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
let's get away from the repel. Let's get this off my screen.
Surfing Beach, a new stadium. Once during each player's turn, that player may switch to active water Pokemon with one of their benched water Pokemon. Suspicious Clock. Devolve
Wait,
one of your...
with the surfing beach, I think it's really fun that apparently something to do with surfing is like a switch effect because they also have the supporter,
and then
the surfer, which is a switch supporter. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That
Yeah,
just
makes
is
you
intriguing to me.
Makes you think. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. Stadium-based switch. Interesting. I really don't know what to combo with that, but
Palafin,
in any
dude.
case. Palafin. You're right. Oh, they're buffing Palafin. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Suspicious Clock is an item. Devolve one of your evolved psychic Pokemon by returning any number of evolution cards on it to your hand. So some players have thought, hey, this might be good in Gardevoir to intentionally kill a few of your Pokemon and then Iono your opponent down lower earlier in the game. I think that's like way too much investment because the only thing that you're really evolving is going to be Gardevoirs into the Curlias, and I don't think you want to be killing Curlias throughout the course of the game. But still,
Probably
yet
not.
another. I mean, there's maybe like an argument here where it's like your Mega Guard. If you're playing a Mega Guardy deck, and you devolve a Mega Guardy that has taken a hit, then you're only giving up one prize as opposed to 3. So I can maybe see that argument as like kind of a, you're limiting the damage, I guess. You're limiting the number of prize cards your opponent takes.
Well, I was thinking that people might play this in like regular Guardy EX as like a pseudo Turo, right? You can lift up the Guardy EX after just vomiting a bunch of energy into play, and then only have a single prize board while still having accelerated for a turn.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And then you just have that Curlia down, so you're not even like
Right, and that's so you can just
Turoing
evolve it the next turn.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you probably could do it that way. That's probably the best use case for it. Anyway.
Even then, it might be too gimmicky, but that's what I thought might be used for.
And then we're getting a reprint of Ultra Ball, potentially, again, in that same kind of speculated discussion as Boss's Orders. And finally coming here to the Wally's Compassion. Talk about this. Heal all damage from one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon EX. If you healed any damage in this way, put all energy attached to that Pokemon back into your hand. So I think final thoughts on the set release from me is just these cards kind of seem underwhelming and uninteresting. Now, obviously, you can't just judge an entire format by one set because it exists within the context of the other sets around it. But, I mean, as we were talking about, like, that Lucario Mega Kangaskhan interaction, I'm just like, okay, am I
Sorry
really...
that I sullied the whole format for you.
No. It just really like it focused it in, right? Because none of these cards are really on their own that exciting or cool. I think we all really dislike the 3 prize card mechanic by and large, and I'm not really seeing anything from what they've been giving us of like any particularly interesting interactions.
No, these
Well,
were
here's-
exactly like the first Mega or the first VMAXs did, which is that they're just big. They're just big. Yeah, they're just big.
Yeah,
guys.
they don't even have like that interesting of attacks or anything.
No,
Which
they're just big.
is something the VMAX is also critically suffered from, and you could definitely listen back to the tag team episodes from that era and hear me talk about it every single week. So, yeah, I mean, here's just my take, right? With the 3 prizers, just inherently like let you play less Pokemon. You know, if you like playing the Pokemon card game, you get to play less of it if 3 prizers are like the dominant strategy because you're just taking those 2 knockouts or whatever. And so that's kind of what it boils down to. End of the day, for me, it's just less interesting games of Pokemon get played when there's so many prizes being given up in one go.
I mean, look at the way that some of these 3 prize formats get played. I mean, we were just looking at a lot of Sword and Shield era deck lists, right? And like in current standard, you might have deck lists with like multiple stage 2s in it, different stage 1 lines, basics, all that. That's part of what makes deck building and like in the game fun right now. But with VMAXs, it was a lot of 4/4, your 4/4 VMAX line, and then just like as few Pokemon as possible to support them, and then that's your deck, right? I certainly could see situations, which I alluded to earlier, where it's just like you're just playing a quad mega deck or something, or like 3 megas, and that's like your deck, right? And if you think about the prize exchange, you can allow 2 single prizers to get knocked out, right? And you then
you
force your
smash
opponent to
with
knock
your
out 2 megas, right? And that's the deck, right? So you play as few other Pokemon as possible. Or you could play an all mega deck with a couple of 2 prizers as support Pokemon. You could afford to lose one other 2 prizer and then force your opponent to knock out 2 megas, right? So like that kind of thing becomes certainly very much a thing with your 3 prize Pokemon in the format, which just kind of simplifies a lot of deck building as well. I mean, Riley, you played a literal, Guardy Sylveon tag team deck, which like had 4 Guardy Sylveons and maybe a 2 prizer in it. Like that was it.
Yeah, that wasn't an all-time format either. But I did do well that World Championship. So
yeah, he top 32 to Worlds with that, so that was pretty good.
So yeah, that's just gonna be the recurring take, I think, with these 3 prizers is they boil the game down really hard, and in my opinion, like distract from having like meaningful interaction with your opponent. I mean, the whole aim of the Gardevoir deck I played at Worlds that year was to ideally interact with my opponent as little as possible.
Right,
Yes.
right. You had the tools. There were tools back then that prevented your opponent from attacking you, depending on their typing.
Yeah.
I think it was technically prevented from
attached.
doing damage, which is a relevant distinction. But
Sure.
and then also the GX attack shuffled their whole hand into their deck, literally. That was the end of the sentence of the card.
Yep.
So yeah.
Not inspiring a lot of confidence. This is, but kind of like you were saying, Andrew, like this is the first set of this block. Generally, if you go back, I mean, even, we look at the first set from the black and white era. If we look at the first set from like the original EX era, like a lot of these introductory cards are they just set the tone, they level set, they, I don't know, maybe set expectations of kind of the floor. And then from there, we maybe get some more interesting and dynamic and unique cards printed off of that. So more of the same. This doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence, but that doesn't necessarily mean that future sets won't expand upon this idea of, the 3 prize mega Pokemon and, give us some new tools to play with and interact with.
Yeah, you say that, but then Gardevoir EX was kind of the best one of those suckers.
Yeah, it's true, and it just dominated forever. So I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows.
We can't see the future. Well, I can see the future, and the Absol with its like Doom Mark attack and Repel like really pop off.
Now we're talking, dude. Now we're talking. Finally, we found our deck for next season. So
you repel your opponent's action, and then you monkey dory. I don't know. I see the vision.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick. Anyway, if you want to learn more about our amazing Mega Absol deck that we're gonna be crafting over the course of the next year, you can follow us on Twitter. On X at Real John Walter for myself, at Smiles with Riles for Riley, at Enjoy Friend for Andrew, and at Tag Team Pokemon for the podcast.
Thank you all so much for listening and your continued support, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.